The service corridor. The service corridor behind the emergency elevators stayed fully lit while the public side dimmed under the evening cycle. Warm air pushed from a ceiling vent, lifting the edge of a caution sign. The man's badge tapped against his shirt as he walked, keeping close to the wall to pass a linen cart. 17 minutes until the next security sweep. The elevator bank faced him across the tile. 2 sets of doors, arrows and numbers, changing with each arriving car. Staff in scrubs, visitors clustered and slow, transport teams pushing beds. He moved through them without stopping, stepping aside once when a gurney clipped a handrail. His hands were sweating inside his pockets. 6 months of planning. 3 walkthroughs at shift change. 2 borrowed credentials. And now his pulse was hammering hard enough that he was sure the badge would vibrate against his chest. The recessed cabinet sat between the elevator bank and a service panel. Old paint worn through at the edges, the lock cylinder ringed with scratches. He inserted the key it caught, resisted, and turned. The hinge creaked. Inside, an analog transmitter with a dim indicator lamp, and above it, a digital interface blinking in uneven patterns. A narrow adapter cable bridged them, held by a clamp that looked newer than everything else. The cabinet speaker emitted a low hiss. He reached for the clamp. His fingers paused. Underscore. Just do it. You've done this before. Different building, same system. But that was 3 years ago, and no one had died. He loosened the clamp. The hiss thinned, wavered, dropped. He turned the gain knob counterclockwise until it stopped, then moved to the rotary selector, pausing at each click. The hiss stopped. An elevator arrived. Doors opened. A transport team guided a bed into the car, the doors staying open longer than usual before closing. He pressed the recessed switch beneath the analog unit. The indicator lamp went dark. The old frequency was silent now, cut off from the emergency loop. Someone cleared their throat behind him. The man kept his hand steady as he withdrew it. He didn't turn. A technician stood at the corridor entrance, a young guy with a tool bag over his shoulder, looking from the open cabinet to the elevator indicators. "System issue?" the technician asked. Voltage drop on the backup channel. The man's voice stayed flat, bored. "Happens every 3rd month." The technician nodded. "You're from 3 floors up." "It's networked." He turned just enough to show the badge. Close enough to reel. "Problem travels." "Right." The technician adjusted his bag strap. "Need help?" The word landed harder than he'd meant. The technician's expression shifted, not suspicious, just unsure. The man forced something like a smile. "Appreciate it, though." "Almost done." The technician hesitated, then moved on, disappearing around the corner. The man exhaled. His shirt was damp under the arms. 12 minutes. He turned to the service access panel and removed the cover with a quarter turn. Inside, a grid of switches and a laminated diagram showing routing priorities: emergency traffic, general traffic, internal radio loop. He flipped one switch. A small LED flashed. He flipped a second. His finger hovered over the 3rd. Underscore. This is the one that matters. This is the one they'll trace. Underscore. He flipped it. The LED flashed twice, then went steady. Within seconds, the elevator bank responded. 1 car bypassed the floor entirely. Another arrived and stayed closed, doors unmoving. People waiting shifted, confused. Someone pressed the call button again, holding it longer. A security guard stepped into view near the wall monitor. Posture straight, hands near his belt. He looked at the elevators, then at the open panel, then back to the monitor. The man's throat tightened. He replaced the panel cover and secured it, movements deliberate, unhurried, like he belonged. Like this was routine. The system redistributed traffic toward another wing. A small cluster of staff moved toward different doors down the hall. Those who remained shifted again, uncertain. The guard was still watching. The man turned back to the cabinet and opened it wider, checking the analog unit again. He traced the adapter cable to the digital interface, confirming it was seated, professional, methodical. His hands were shaking now, but only slightly, and anyone watching would blame the fluorescent light. 9 minutes. A transport team returned with an empty bed frame, moving quickly. A nurse stepped back to let them pass. At the elevator bank, doors opened unexpectedly, and a crowded car appeared. 2 staff members pressed in sideways. The security guard edged closer, body angled toward the cabinet. Or he knows. He doesn't know what, but he knows something's wrong. The man reached for the narrow strip of toggles under the protective lip, flipped one upward. A relay clicked. He flipped another, then stopped with his thumb resting against the third. In the waiting area, 2 visitors stepped toward the doors and backed away when an indicator arrow reversed. An orderly wheeled a trash bin past, disappearing into a service alcove. The guard was 10 feet away now. The man released the third toggle without flipping it. He adjusted a small dial on the analog unit in tiny increments, though the lamp stayed dark. Then he moved to the digital interface and pressed the recessed button. The LED pattern changed. 2 quick blinks, a pause, steady glow. 7 minutes. He returned to the service panel, opened it again, placed his finger on one switch, and slid it to the opposite position. The LED flashed longer this time. He moved to another switch and paused, left it untouched, closed the panel. The elevator bank adjusted. A car arrived, opened, then closed when no one entered. Numbers changed too fast to follow. Another car arrived and stayed. The doors opened. A staff member with a wheelchair claimed the center. The doors closed. The guard looked away to check the monitor, hand moving along the screen's edge. When he looked back, a supervisor had appeared, dark jacket, brisk pace. She glanced at the open cabinet, then at the guard, then continued without stopping. That's your cue. Finish and go. The man stood with his shoulders squared to the cabinet. He could feel the weight of attention, though no one was looking directly at him now. The rhythm of people who belonged versus people who didn't. It showed in posture, in certainty of movement. He adjusted the adapter clamp, tightening it until metal bit into the cable jacket. He nudged the frequency selector a fraction, not enough for a click. The speaker stayed silent. A transport team approached with a patient in a wheelchair, hands resting on a folded blanket. They waited. An elevator arrived. The car was full. They backed out, turning the chair slightly. 4 minutes. The man leaned in and adjusted the clamp once more. Then he moved to the strip of toggles, flipped the third one upward, the relay clicking, and as his other hand moved toward the recessed switch beneath the digital interface, his thumb pressed down. The LEDs changed mid-cycle. The elevator indicators updated. Behind him, footsteps stopped. "Sir, I'm going to need to see that badge up close." The man kept pressure on the switch, began to rotate the selector toward the next notch. His voice came out steady, almost friendly. "Sure thing. Just finishing this adjustment. Step away from the panel, please." The selector clicked into place. The man released the switch and turned slowly, hands visible. The security guard stood 3 feet back, radio in hand. Not raised yet, but ready. "There a problem, officer?" "You tell me." For a long moment, neither moved. Corridor traffic shifted around them. A nurse with a clipboard, an orderly with a supply cart, a visitor checking a paper map. Normal, routine. The machinery of the hospital continuing. The guard's thumb moved toward the radio button. The man smiled, closed the cabinet door. The lock cylinder turned with a soft click. "All set here," he said. "System should stabilize in about 30 seconds. He walked past the guard, not too fast, not too slow, through the corridor, past the elevator bank where people still waited, confused by the new patterns. past the nurse station, where someone lifted a handset, then set it down again. The stairwell door was 20 feet ahead. 15. 10. Behind him, the guard's radio crackled. The man pushed through the door and let it close softly behind him. Then he was running, taking the stairs 2 at a time, the sound of his footsteps echoing up the concrete shaft. And somewhere above him or below him, he couldn't tell anymore, an alarm began to sound.